Hi, my name's Jenny, and I've created a new Bible study called Chase for Women. And it's about chasing the heart of God. And we've talked about the power of identity and how we need the identity that God gives, not the one that we try to get from this world. And that takes courage, and courage that says, because God is on my side, there is nothing for me to be afraid of, nothing that can hold us back if we're obeying God. And so today, we're going to talk about obedience. It's an obedience that comes from trusting God. The more we trust God, the more we're going to obey Him. And I wonder if we approach obedience in the way that God desires, out of a heart of love for Him rather than out of a desire to measure up or to look good for other people. See, our view of God will determine our trust in Him, and our trust in Him will determine our desire to obey Him, no matter what the cost is, even if we look foolish. The first way we understand that God's desires for us is we read the scriptures. The second way is we recognize God's voice through His Spirit leading us. John 10:27 says, "My sheep, they hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Most of my life, something rebellious in me has risen up when I hear the word obey. I'd turn into a toddler, or maybe it's more like a teenager who knows what is right and just somehow doesn't want to do it. See, I learned as a child that my behavior matters more than my heart. My parents weren't the only culprits for this. School and church and friends and jobs all teach us this. So naturally, the feelings of pressure that accompany that upbringing make me cringe when I hear words like obey or submit. And naturally, all of that eventually carried over into my relationship with God too. However, God began to transform my view of Him in college. And as my view of Him grew, my trust in Him grew, and my obedience to Him grew. Not out of fear, but because I wanted Him more than I wanted my own way. I wanted Him more than I wanted my friends' approval. Most days. God simply asks us for our obedience and our trust. See, what was so beautiful and unique about King David in the scriptures was his deep affection for God and his desire to obey Him no matter what it meant for his time here on earth, and no matter what anyone else thought. It's difficult to trust God and to obey Him completely if we're unclear about what we actually believe about God. See, how we live every second of every day will flow out of what we believe about God. Faith is this basis of a relationship with God, and it is the basis of our salvation. And most of us are afraid to ever express doubt. Yet all of us doubt at some point. And the reality of God outweighs those doubts when we ask Him to help our unbelief. I think of my kids and how all of the right answers don't move me. And their hair perfectly combed and put together, table manners, they don't move me. But my child looking at me confused about suffering that he's just observed, or my child wondering why she did not make it when she did her absolute best, or my child crying as I have to punish them and it hurts, then I'm just moved to hold them and to love them and to comfort them. So often as believers, we're afraid to question God. We need to question and not apologize. It's not as if He can't handle our doubts or our questions. It's not as if He wanted us to be happy robots. We are exactly how He made us. We are weak and we are needy, and sometimes we are confused. And we are in need of a God. I need a God that I can't understand. I need a God big enough to have purposes for my life that are beyond what I can see right now. And because He happens to be that big, our little hearts are going to question. And then God's going to move into that. He will move toward me, and He will comfort me, and He will love me. And I don't want to miss moments like that with God. See, this is a relationship. John 20:29 says, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen me, and yet they believe." If we really believe all that we say that we believe, it would change everything about our lives. But it's our doubts that are keeping us from God. We can ask God for more faith, and we can go to Him with our doubts. Nothing matters more than what we believe about God.